Places of pristine nature and fascinating scenery are not just a dream. They can still be found because national parks protect and preserve the rugged beauty of our planet. More than 40 years ago, in the far north of the country, passionate conservationists established what then was Canada's biggest nature reserve, Kluane National Park. Icy, isolated, and with no roads, this is a spectacular world, a wilderness that attracts a special type of person. For more than a year, we accompanied rangers and scientists, bush pilots, and members of the First Nations here, and discovered the adventure of their everyday lives, far away from noise, smartphones, and stress. With its seemingly infinite wilderness, Kluane is full of mystery. People up here in the Yukon will tell you that to really experience the Canadian winter, you need to do just what the First Nations and pioneers from Europe did more than 130 years ago. Harness dogs to your sled and head off into the vast expanses of the north. This woman has become something of a local in the Yukon. Eva Glansman knows exactly where she's going to go ice fishing today. So do her huskies. They love being together in a landscape that could not be more remote or desolate. As a child in Switzerland's Bernese Oberland, Eva always dreamt of feeling the Earth's beauty and living as if she were in another age.
What I love here is being able to work far more directly for what I need in life. I go out and get my meat from nature. I have a garden and work more directly, not to earn money in order to buy things. I'm even building my own house and try to do as much as possible myself. It's great when you can do that. I think it would be hard for me to live in town. I could never lead the sort of life I lead out here.
With just 700 inhabitants, Haines Junction is located on the edge of the huge Kluane National Park. We have come to meet a woman who arrived here on a visit from northern Germany and stayed. A park ranger, today Emma is on her way to Sheep Mountain. It's one of her favorite places.
Being able to live here is pretty exceptional. I'm so lucky. It sometimes seems a bit like a dream.
Emma was a teacher when she first visited Kluane. She felt at once that it came closer to her sense of life than anywhere else.
National parks are something wonderful, but they are also regions we need to protect from ourselves. We now have such a powerful influence on our environment that we set aside parcels of land and place them under protection. We must try to live more in balance with nature.
The Kluane Park borders directly on Alaska, around 22,000 square kilometers in size. It is the fourth biggest national park in Canada. 82% of its area is permanently covered by snow and ice. After almost 6 months of icy cold, when summer has long since arrived in other places, the thaw finally settles in. Then in early June, everything happens quickly. From well below zero, the temperature climbs to 20 degrees, delighting the park's inhabitants right through to the Indian summer. In 1980, UNESCO declared the region to be part of the world's natural heritage. It has always been the home of countless species of birds, but this is also the habitat of large animals like grizzly bears and moose. They can withdraw into the mountains, which offer them protection. There are no roads in Kluane National Park. The taxi drivers of the Yukon are its bush pilots. One of them is Thor Fender from Germany. He regularly flies groups of venturous souls into the park, scientists, adventurers, and park rangers.
I suddenly had the chance to learn and do bush flying here. I obtained my professional pilot's license and started flying commercially here in the Kluane Park. And once you've started something, it's hard to stop. It's like an addiction.
Today, Thor is taking us to a small airfield on the edge of the park. He used to be an architect. He learnt to fly when he was only 15. After visiting the Yukon for the first time, he decided to give up everything back home and move here, to the far north, for good, a part of the world which tests him every day.
The biggest danger here in the park is strong turbulence in the form of powerful downdrafts. You have to keep an eye on the cloud formations, determine where the wind is coming from, and avoid those areas with a strong downdraft. The plane has a 300 horsepower engine, but it is quite possible that not even 300 horsepower will be enough to pull you out of a downdraft.
Two hours away, somewhere in the middle of the wilderness, lies the small Silver City airfield, an insider's tip for researchers from all over the world. From here, they set out on their expeditions to the St. Elias icefields. Waiting for Thor in Silver City today is his old friend Andy Williams, one of the first bush pilots. The two want to coordinate their transport flights for the summer.
Morning, Andy.
Guten Morgen.
Hello.
The sun has shint.
Yeah.
How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty bumpy ride, though.
I bet. I didn't mean to stand in the middle of your runway, but there's a big bloody hole there.
Yeah, I don't want to drop my nose wheel in
No.
there.
Coffee?
Right. Sure, that would be great.
No rush.
Andy, as he is known to everyone out here, was already living in the Yukon when the Kluane Park was established in 1972.
I've been there since very much the beginning of the park. It hasn't changed very much at all. If your electrical system goes out, you're lost. So really you're flying very much the way they did 100 years ago.
A man of the north who loves stability, and a park which to us seems more and more like a monument against the rapid changes taking place elsewhere in the world. Kluane is regarded as the wildest of Canada's national parks. 25% of all the country's grizzly bears live here in the Yukon. For a long time now, their paths have repeatedly crossed with those of man. Anyone moving here has to live with their proximity and the dangers of the wilderness which knows no bounds, especially in the weeks when grizzlies come out of hibernation.
Guten Morgen. Okay.
For Ava and her pack of half-wild huskies, it's time for a romp. Away from civilization, they are a closely knit team, and that also involves providing protection.
If we come across a black bear, I'll let 2 or 3 of the dogs loose. They'll chase it away. So you've got less of a problem. The bear gets scared and climbs up a tree. I then whistle the dogs back. The bear will leave us alone and won't come again. Where a grizzly is concerned, though, we're talking about a bit more power. A grizzly isn't afraid of anything. When the dogs go after a grizzly, the game suddenly changes. Then they get scared and the grizzly starts chasing them. They come back and along comes the bear with them.
Ava's 8-hectare plot of land borders directly on Kluane National Park. Here she plans to live independently and be totally self-sufficient. In spring, Eva sows her vegetable garden. She grows lettuce, carrots and cabbage. The north demands a lot of personal initiative, something Eva first had to learn when she came here as an immigrant.
The most important thing I had to learn was to be independent, to do everything myself. And as a 23-year-old, I found that hard. I don't really like doing things that are a bit unpleasant, so I keep putting them off until I was neck deep. At first, it was really difficult for me to organise things and motivate myself.
In 1942, the Alaska Highway was a gravel road used mainly by the military. In Haines Junction, time seems to have stood still. The next town, Whitehorse, is 160 kilometers away, and Anchorage in Alaska a mere 835 kilometers away. Extreme isolation and nothing but nature, that is something you have to love. And Emma does. Born in northern Germany, she was over the moon when she was given a job by Parks Canada.
I feel so privileged to be allowed to work for the national park. It's such a satisfying job, being able to protect my belief in the importance of the environment, and knowing that there are still such places in the world is really special, and being able to share that with other people is such a privilege.
Her special field of research is the Dall sheep, named after American zoologist William H. Dall, who first mentioned the species scientifically. Dall sheep are only found in northwest Canada and Alaska. So far, the breed has not been studied in any depth. Dall sheep live in small groups consisting of ewes and lambs. The rams usually form separate bachelor communities and only congregate with the female animals in the mating season. Here on Sheep Mountain, Emma has the chance to observe the animals without disturbing them.
Sheep Mountain is of great importance to Kluane National Park. It's truly a unique region. The mountain is directly visible from the Alaska Highway. It's very rare to have such direct access and observation possibilities.
Emma's colleague belongs to the Aishihik tribe. Since 1995, the Indians, or First Nations, as they are known in Canada, have had a share in administering the park. Today, in the modern park world, their ancient knowledge of people and the wilderness is again highly respected. Here in the north, First Nation peoples have followed the roots of the moose for thousands of years. So did Carrie Brown's ancestors. When she was a little girl, her grandmother used to take Carrie into the forest and explain the trees, the grasses and the herbs to her. Today, Carrie tells her son, Cassius, about the world of their forefathers.
Are you looking for animals? There's animals everywhere.
Bears!
What else?
Moose!
Moose! Hey Cassius, do you want to take a look at this? What chewed this?
Beaver!
Yeah. Do you know how to say that in native language?
Yeah.
Can you say tsat?
Saw?
Tsat.
I said it.
I grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather, and I spent a lot of time fishing and hunting, and in the winter times trapping with them. So I learned quite a bit about not only about hunting and fishing, but as well as the history and culture that they have brought from their parents growing up.
Carrie wants her son to learn about the heritage of the First Nation peoples in addition to getting the European-based education of Western Canada.
In the future generations, for someone like my son Cassius, it's important for him to know, how to survive and harvest and hunt these animals that we've been doing for countless generations.
A new generation that could also thrive on a self-sufficient basis. Ava has a big job on her hands. She's building herself a house with Canadian pine. She started last autumn and hopes to have it ready this year. Last winter, tarpaulins provided protection from snow and ice. Over the next few months, Ava plans to have the roof in place.
Last year I completed the ground floor, but because I had to work and attend to other things, I didn't have time to build more than I did. But I think it's great that I can do so many things myself. This winter, we didn't have that much snow, so in February I went into the forest, cut down some trees and took them to the sawmill. I'm now cutting planks for the upper floor. The house will be a standard North American-style log cabin.
The timber for roof construction has to be prepared in spring. Ava cuts her pine logs to size at the only sawmill far and wide. In northern Canada, it's a case of self-do, self-have, even for women.
I enjoy doing everything myself and not having to rely on someone. In the past, I used to be far more dependent on my partner, for instance, who is now my ex. I've learned an awful lot. Women, I think, should have far more confidence in themselves. It's such a pity they don't.
Ava has a tip for any woman who would now also like to build her own house.
You wouldn't start learning to surf with a board for advanced surfers, and the same thing applies to power saws and so on. There are light power saws, and that is what you should start with. Then you will slowly become proficient. You notice what matters and you progress.
27 years spent in Kluane. No expectations, no deadlines. The feeling of freedom. The park's proximity to Alaska would, you might think, result in a cold climate. But amazingly, the temperature today is a pleasant 20 degrees. From time to time, it's said, they even get 30-degree heat waves here. Because of the warm air from the Pacific Ocean, the plant and animal life here is more diverse than anywhere else in northern Canada. In the summer months, the Kluane Lake airstrip is almost a hive of activity. Andy is giving his plane the once-over. Out here, you always have to be well prepared. The slightest technical problem in this remote region can be life-threatening. Today, Andy is flying with his daughter Sian. He taught her to fly because in the Williams family, flying is a tradition.
Teaching your children to drive is apparently one of the most stressful things you could possibly do. No, I enjoy it.
Andy has flown to the glaciers in virtually all weathers and at all times of year. The park's mountains are like old friends to him. And he has had plenty of opportunity to observe how they are changing dramatically.
Well, the environmental changes are fairly obvious. The glaciers themselves are down-wasting, and I think the larger glaciers are just preceding a recession. Typically what happens with large glaciers is that they will get thinner, And after they've thinned down to a certain level, then they'll start the retreat. So yeah, the changes are dramatic.
Worldwide, the glaciers in Kluane National Park are regarded as the biggest ice field outside the polar regions. We have arranged to meet a German scientist. He and his team are using the summer to camp out on the glacier for several weeks for research purposes. Christian Schoaf is Professor of Glaciology at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
It all started for me when I took up climbing while doing my degree. I found the world of the mountains simply fascinating. And when you have emotional ties to your field of research, it is really helpful. It motivates you. I couldn't do the same thing on board a ship at sea, for example. Certainly not with the same enthusiasm.
Glaciers are his field of research, and they fascinate him. But how will they develop? How quickly do they melt? What influences their flow velocity? To answer these questions, Christian Schoaf has to understand the behavior of the ice masses. Christian Schoaf is convinced that we know far too little about change in the eternal ice. Today he's going to descend into a glacier crevasse himself. A keen climber, it was this moment he looked forward to most of all. And he is amazed at what he sees.
Wow.
This is the highlight of his scientific career. But it is also a risky operation.
The main danger with this kind of work is the icicles which hang down on the wall like a curtain. When they break off, it's wise not to be in the way. There is also a section of glacial ice hanging further up in the crevice. Let's just hope it doesn't come down in our direction. What's more, we have to be careful that we don't do anything to injure one another.
The scientists are going to drill holes in the eternal ice and install thermometers. They will provide information on the development of the temperature in the interior of the ice. Today, everything is taking longer than expected. The team have had difficulty cabling the probes. When Christian Schoaf finally emerges from the crevasse after 4 hours, it's almost nightfall.
Things didn't go quite as we'd planned, but the cable is now in place and everything is fine. It was wonderful down there, but it all took a bit too long.
It will now take the men a good hour to descend to the camp. Every summer, more and more adventurous trekking groups in the Kluane National Park head for the glaciers. Holidaying in the middle of the wilderness means mountains, broad river valleys, and endless expanses. Ranger Emma makes regular checks to see that visitors are observing park regulations.
Keeping the balance between nature and humans is also a major challenge for us here in the park. On the one hand, of course, we want people to come and experience Kluane. But obviously, the higher the number of people who come here, the greater the pressure on nature. And that makes it more difficult to maintain the equilibrium. It will always be a balancing act.
Hello, bonjour. Good morning. Hello.
Here we have a classic situation. No one around, too many people on the campsite, scraps of food lying around, and the fire is still burning. Not exactly what we want.
It turns out, though, that other campers have agreed to keep an eye on the smouldering fire.
You guys are close by. If you're staying by, then that's fine. Okay. Okay.
Anyone who plans to head off for a few days, and people come here from all over the world, first has to register with the park administration. What sounds like bureaucracy is a safety measure. Emma likes to have a word with visitors before they set out.
You're not getting away, are you? You're trying really hard. Get going. Ooh, that looks like a heavy pack. Uh-huh.
Not as heavy as mine is.
Yeah, right. Be safe on the creek crossings. I'm not sure how they will be, but you've probably heard that the water levels go up and down for a bit with temperature, so just take that seriously. You have footwear for going across the creeks?
Well, either sandals or...
Yeah, anything is better than going bare feet.
Okay, so you want to take a group photo of us? That would be wonderful.
Okay, to go back a little bit more.
They're all excited. What awaits them?
They looked well prepared, but there are certain risks here that perhaps don't exist in places where visitors to the park come from. There are, of course, wild animals here, mainly bears, grizzlies and black bears. Sometimes moose can also be a bit aggressive. They also need to be taken seriously. And then there is the simple fact that this is really a wilderness. When you go off hiking somewhere, you have to remember that you won't have any mobile phone connection for several days.
Whitehorse is the capital of the Yukon. It is also the supply point for the park. For Tor, our bush pilot, summer is the busiest time of year. Today he has to take material to a gold mine on the edge of the Kluane National Park. Flying time, 2 hours.
We're on our way from Whitehorse to a gold mine at Scroggy Creek. They urgently need certain spare parts for their machines. It's really difficult to get there by road, so basically they have to be supplied by air.
Time and again, the siren call of gold rings out from Canada's wilderness. Many gold mines in the Yukon are still in operation even today. Tor flies to this small mine halfway to Dawson City several times a year. He knows it well, but even so, it still fascinates him. It didn't take us long to find out why. A handful of fortune seekers here still believe in the promise of gold.
Got some milk, some tobacco for Jason.
Thank you. Here you go, Judy.
So does a woman with 2 small children.
Thank you.
The family come from New Zealand, and Tor knows them well.
Yeah, we'll cover that. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.
Caroline finds family life as a gold prospector so exciting.
The life here is brilliant. Like, we pick mushrooms and berries, and we're mining, and we live in the bush for 4 months, 5 months, and that's good. Daniel is 2. And he first came out here when he was 5 weeks old. And George is 5 months old. He came out here when he was 1 month old. It's a good life.
The family's prospecting suddenly came to a halt when a machine broke down. Sanek, who has leased the mine, has been trying for days to repair it, but to no avail.
Hey, Sanek, how's it going?
Well, as you can see, problems.
Problems, eh? Big
Always.
machinery. Yeah. How's your summer going?
Oh, it's been good. Really nice summer. Very
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah, pretty hot, eh?
You wanted to see some gold?
Yeah.
A little bit. Just a few nuggets we picked out of a sluice box.
Wow, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, eh? Few
That's
ounces.
about 10 ounces.
10 ounces.
300 grams. When I first came to Yukon, the only thing I knew was Jack London books, right? So Yukon was the place. So when I came here, I figured I didn't want to work 9 to 5, you know, for the rest of my days. So I figured I wanted to do something seasonal. And originally I wanted to do like fishing lodge or whatever. I never dreamed I could do something like this. But, you know, one thing led to another, and slowly I got into it. Took me a long time, but... And it's good life, you know, good lifestyle. different. But I get winters off, which is great. I can go New Zealand or wherever.
The family drive back to their summer cabin. The children are hungry. Tor has to head off as well. He can't even stay for an hour. He wants to be back before dark. Ava has a visitor from Europe. Her niece, Sina, from Switzerland, wants to get to know life in the wilderness. Today, canoeing is on the agenda. The two plan to catch their evening meal.
Sometimes it's not easy. She's only 16 and isn't used to being alone. But it's really enjoyable having her here and giving her an insight into a life that is totally different from what she is used to in Europe, with school and other things there that are regarded as important. It's good for her to experience that you can still lead a different kind of life. Okay. You can now let him go so he can jump out when he wants. Have you seen how the fish leap? Why don't you try casting your line on this side?
There have always been fish in abundance here. The name Kluane comes from the First Nation language and means white fish country. But today, the two women are out of luck. As if that weren't enough, it started to rain.
Super Wurf. Das ist gut.
I think we'd better head back to the shore and get our jackets.
Sogar der Globi schüttelt sich.
Construction of the Alaska Highway brought not only settlers to the region, it also brought poachers. The government took drastic steps against poaching. All the inhabitants had their ancient hunting and fishing rights revoked, including the members of the First Nation. For them, it was a tragic decision.
Hi, Grandma. Hi.
Today, we have come to meet Carrie and her grandmother.
I come to visit. Help you today with your hide.
Yeah.
When did you get this moose?
I got this moose last spring.
Oh, okay. And you shoot it?
Yeah, I shot it myself.
Where was that at?
Just down the road. Down.
Provide lots of meat, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Scraping it, eh?
Yes, yeah.
The region covered by the present-day park has always been the traditional home of the Aishihik people. It is important to Carrie to learn all about their ancient skills and customs. Her grandmother is also going to teach Carrie the Indian art of beading. The knowledge she has can't be found in books. It has to be handed down.
Good. And then maybe...
9.
Well, just wait this way.
This is good.
Okay.
I teach my grandchildren what my mom taught me. I have 10 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and I'm looking forward to teach them more traditional life. Everything, not only tan and how to harvest some berries and make some dry meat when we get moose. All these things I want them to learn so they can carry on their tradition.
Carrie learns quickly, and she is a realist.
That's very good.
Maybe they'll end up in a museum one day.
The snow-covered mountains of the Kluane National Park are still guarding their secrets. In the morning, after a cold night on the edge of the glacier, Christian Schorf and his team first have to warm up in the supply tent. Up here, Even in summer, the temperature fluctuates between plus 15 degrees during the day and minus 15 at night, and up to 30 centimeters of new snow can fall at any time. The first thing Christian Schof wants to do today is check the data from the new instruments.
This is the glacier we're working on. The screen shows that we have now drilled around 150 holes in the glacier. Unfortunately, the instruments don't survive for very long. So out of the 150 holes we've drilled, only about 60 are currently active. Since we are restricted in the number of holes we can drill per season, this makes it very hard to ever get a complete picture. In a year's time, a good proportion of the sensors might no longer be working.
In places where there is no human habitation far and wide, nature seems to be totally intact. But we have long known that when these glaciers melt, this landscape too will be just a memory. Then, minerals will be exposed that are already coveted. And in Canada, industrial giants have thwarted conservation projects time and again.
There are widespread mineral deposits here, which would most certainly be exploited if the national park didn't exist. This, of course, is a contentious political issue. But if you believe that this landscape is worth protecting and preserving, a national park is most definitely important.
Tor Fender, too, is only too aware of this threat to the park. He often flies to the gold and silver mines on the edge of the Kluane.
Through flying, I've become familiar with the unadulterated beauty of Kluane National Park, but I've also seen the destructive power of the raw materials industry. And the raw materials industry has already obtained mining rights in the immediate vicinity of the national park. I can only hope that the governments of the future will be able to resist any further advances into the park.
Tor's season as a pilot already comes to an end in late summer. This is his last flight of the year. In winter, he'll again be working as an architect. Planes up here in the north now have to be stored in hangars.
The wings are clear. Yeah.
Putting his aircraft away for the winter always makes bush pilot Andy feel a bit wistful.
Mountain flying is it's a particular kind of experience, and not many people do it. It's certainly in the high mountains and on the glaciers. And I think you've been back in the country, you've seen how vast it is and how changeable it is from day to day. And I think that sort of challenge for a pilot is very interesting.
Autumn in Kluane National Park is short and beautiful. Often, September already sees the first frosts arrive. Near Haines Junction, this is also the hunting season. Bears now eat as much as they can. It's their last chance. Soon snow and ice will return to the north, and the bears will hibernate, and silence will reign. Autumn is once again an important season for First Nation people. Carrie is out and about with her brother Lance and her son Cassius. Together they're roaming the park in search of game.
I'm Chapanajak, and we have a boundary of traditional territory that we are allowed to hunt for subsistence harvesting. So we try to keep up with our traditions, and especially for to keep our our freezer full of meat for the winter. But for my grandfather, you know, it was definitely different. It was either sometimes some situations was life or death, depending on if you caught a moose or not.
It was not until 2008 that the Canadian government officially apologized to the First Nations and revoked laws which destroyed ancient knowledge. For the first time, Cassius is seeing the classic way to set traps. Carrie wants her child to be able to live independently and in close touch with nature in modern-day Canada.
Most children don't get to experience these things anymore. You know, there's a whole different world out there right now, and the use of traditional food ain't needed like it used to be. So yeah, just bringing him out and exposing him to it is, I think, just good for him. Just to, you know, keep in mind that someday he might need to use it as a skill for actually food instead of, you know, just to be there.
Carrie speaks for a new generation of the First Nations, one committed to the traditions of their parents and to Canada's Western culture. When winter comes to Kluane, the temperature quickly drops to well below freezing. Ava wanted to have got a lot further with her house, but as she well knows, here in the Yukon, clocks tick differently.
I'm sitting in what will be my parlour and looking forward to furnishing it. I want to do as much as possible myself.
But for Ava too, winter is a special time of year. It's now that the few people who live in the north come closer together. And we won't forget them, or their love of their park, their dreams, their concerns, and their visions.
I've worked in Kluane National Park for 40 years. It's an area that is very important to me, my family, and I hope my extended family.
Without protection, this landscape would no longer exist the way it is.
We should just move forward, keeping it the way it is for the next generation to come and see.
I want it to stay the way it has done for the last 20 years. I want this region to remain just as peaceful because it's a wonderful place.